Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Okay, so today we will continue with chapter 6, which is the field grades material. Okay, hopefully all of you will spend a time to go through a few times of this chapter. I will try to upload via YouTube so that you can access from time to time. So in chapter 6, we will cover on field grades materials. Okay, previous chapter we did cover on the latex coagulations, and this chapter on field grades material. So at the end of this chapter, you should be able to define and differentiate the types of field grades rubber, to explain the storage method of field grade rubber, and finally to describe the importance of the RC determination. We will go through why the RC determination is very important and which area need the RC determinations. Okay, field grades material basically for this chapter divided by 3 subchapter, which is we start with the field grade collection and reception, and then we have method of storage. I think we have 4 types of method of storage. And finally, the dry rubber content determination, how it determined and why it is important to determine the DRC before any further process can be done. Okay, for field grade rubber, which is the auto-coagulated rubber, whenever we say that field grade rubber, we are referring to the auto-coagulated rubber. What is auto-coagulated rubber? It is a field grade rubber that those have auto-coagulated in field. Okay, previously I did mention after few hours or after 24 hours of latex dripping into a cups, that field latex will be automatically coagulated and we will produce the cup lumps. This is the auto-coagulated rubber. And field grade rubber may be divided into 4 groups. Okay, commonly you know that cup lumps. There are the 3 types of autocoagulated rubber, which is the 3-lace, bark scrap, and ground scrap. And we will go through each of these types of autocoagulated rubber. We start with the cup lump. Cup lump is the rubber derived from the after drippings of latex left in the cup following latex collection. So how to identify the cup lump is very simple. Any leftover of latex that autocoagulated in the cups, we call it a cup lumps. Okay, and then the second one is 3-lace. 3-lace is the 3 strips of rubber derived from the last drop of latex flowing from the tapping cut and down groove and the spouts. Okay, what is 3-lace? 3-lace usually the final overflows of the latex from the rubber tree. Okay, usually after you taps, the latex will flow for only a few hours, and the leftover of the latex flow from the grooves of the tapped tree will autocoagulate, and we call it a 3-lace. Usually a thin strips of dry autocoagulated rubber. And 3-lace is contaminated with iron and manganese iron absorbed from the barks of the tree and often contain bark chipping. Usually, whenever you try as much as possible to remove the bark chipping during the tapping process. However, sometimes there is leftovers of bark chipping that may contaminate your 3-laces. The third one is bark scraps. Bark scraps is a thin films of rubber derived from the latex that has overflown the cut due to the poor tapping practice or the interference. Okay, what is bark scrap? Okay, usually whenever you tap the rubber tree, the latex will flow through the groove. However, with a poor tapping practices, most probably your groove is not deep enough so that the latex flow is overflown from the groove and it will produce the bark scraps. And the second reason why bark scrap is produced is due to the rain interference. Sometimes rains will produce high amounts of latex because of the rains will mix together with the latex, so that the latex that flow on the groove will overflow from the groove that you tap, and it will produce the butt scrap. The former includes too large or too small a tapping cut angle, I mentioned earlier, inefficient depth of cut, and blunt knife. That's why the reason you need have a good practice in tapping skills, and of course daily you need to sharpen your knife so that you can have a nice groove that you produce during the tapping process. And finally, the ground scrap is a rubber derived from the latex that has overflown the cup due to the bad tapping practices, inefficient field management, and rain interference. Okay, usually it's very usually you will have your cups if sufficient enough to collect all of your latex that flown from the tapping process. However, sometimes the latex produce slightly more than the cups can collect, and it will drop to the ground. The second one is because of the rain interference, because the rain may drop in your cups and mix with your latex and will cause the latex to overflow, and it will drop onto the ground. Ground scrap is contaminated with leaf, earth, and twig, and it's rarely accounted because it's very highly contaminated, and we rarely use ground scraps as for manufacturing process. However, ground scrap need to be collected because we don't want any leftover of latex on the field, so that it will produce unhygiene areas of your field. Next, okay, I would like to mention about the rain guard. What is rain guard? Rain guard can get into the collection directly or by drainage down trunks. When either in excessive rubber be lost into bulk or ground scrap due to overflow will affect the properties of rubber from the latex collection. This major problem is effectively eliminated, but heavy showers and driving rains can be guarded against with this method. Okay, usually the rain guard is 3/8-inch thick polystyrene sheets with 2x4 is cut using hot wire cutter into a strips. One large face is painted with frill or concentrated latex containing marking color for easy identification and allowed to dry. And the length of the strip is approximately 6 to 8 inch longer than the tapping cuts. Okay, so I would like to show you what the rain cut look like. If you can see here, this is the image of the rain guard. Okay. This one is rubber rain guard. If I can go further, okay. Here, if you can see here, this is the rain guard, the black in color. So whenever there is a rain interference, not heavy shower, but the flows of water on the trunks of your rubber tree will protect the water and will guide the water to flow against the tapping cuts, so that it will not interfere in the collections of latex. Okay. This rain guard are usually only used for to eliminate what we call that here. This shows that eliminate effectively eliminate, but heavy shower and driving rain cannot be guarded again with this method. So sebenarnya untuk rain guard ni untuk membantu penoreh untuk collect latex tanpa ada campuran air. So maksudnya kalau hujan lebat awak masih tak boleh menoreh. Okay, so we continue with this chapter. Next is polybag rubber. This is a novel technique where the whole crop is collected in polyethylene bags instead of cups, and is only collected after several tapping. When the bag is full, of completely autocoagulated latex. Okay, PE sheets is manufactured into a bag and hung in stir-ups supported by tree, and the spark enter the bag through a small hole and latex run into the normal way. The PE is stripped at the reception, disposed of, leaving and coagulant ready for further processing.